Hi, this is the video showing a way to implement GASP into TPS Kit. It's not a perfect solution, but hope it can bring some inspiration and help to you. First, we need to open all the plugins motion matching need in the TPS Kit. After restart, we migrate to the GASP project. We need at least the blueprints and character folder. I create a new folder and move all the assets in it to make it not a mess. And I copy the folder to the TPS Kit project. I create a new folder to place the new blueprints I'm going to create now. Copy the anim BP and character BP of sandbox character. And copy the TPS Kit anim BP mannequin player to our new folder. Now rename the three blueprints. First is a character blueprint. Set the name you want, for example, my character. And the sandbox character enemy blueprint set to motion matching source. And the mannequin player enemy BP set to retarget blend. Open the TPS Kit player base. And open the character blueprints we just made. Disconnect the possessed event here. Now we need to copy a variable that drives the motion matching blueprint into our TPS Kit player base to make them work together, and do some changes to remove the conflict situations. Search and open the change movement mode function. Go to here and add nodes for the character input state to make it work with the player base. The first mode is walk, is wants to walk and wants to strafe. The second is jog, it only wants to strafe. The third mode is sprint, it wants to sprint only. The fourth one is want to strafe only. Now go to the regular aiming graph. In the beginning, after the trigger aiming logic starts and force disable aiming mode, add the settings of wants to aim. Go to jumping graph, find the change character horizontal turn. This one has conflicts with GSP and we need to add a boolean used as a toggle to turn it off in our new character. And right before this, disconnect the stop sprint node in the jump. This one is also a conflict. Now go to turning logic graph. There are two kinds of turning events here. We also need to add a boolean to turn it off in our new character. The GASP character do all the rotation in its root bone and easily have conflicts with actor rotation. Compile and set the default value of enable jump turn and enable turning logic to true to keep the player character base function as before. Go to function anim BP set shooting pose. Create a new boolean to record if the character is in shooting pose. And do the same in anim BP set reloading. Create a boolean to record if character is reloading. The shoot during sprint will be broken after implement GASP. Need set a new node to open shoot after sprint. Find the shooting input open false in the sprint logic and set it to true after shoot delay. Now go to our new character blueprint. Open class settings. Set the parent class to the player character base of TPS Kit. Now the input state in the new character have a 0 in its name because it has the same name with the input state in the player character base. We need to replace all the reference to the input state in the player character base and finally delete the character input state 0. After replace all the reference, delete the character input state 0. Now we need to delete the pre-CMC tick and replace it with a new one. It has only one reference in the event begin play. Make a new copy of pre-CMC tick components in the GASP blueprints folder and change the type of its owner reference and set into the new character we just made and add a new pre-CMC tick event. In our new character blueprint, add our new pre-CMC tick component and connect it to the add tick prerequisite component function. Now in class defaults, set 3 boolean values to false. 2 of them we just create. Enable jump turn, enable turning logic, and auto turn in idle enabled. Now go to the pre-CMC tick, update the rotation pre-CMC function. Change the strafe condition. Make the condition to wants to strafe but not idle, or wants to aim, or in the shooting pose. In the character movement, we set the rotation rate to 230, the value TPS Kit use, and disconnect the second sequence procedure of rotation update pre-CMC. The GASP use character rotation in a different way. It will cause some conflicts, but when we disable some of its settings like this, it still works well. Use the second pin of the sequence to add some new settings. When getting to aiming mode, in shooting pose or reloading, set the character input state to wants to strafe, and when not shooting, set the strafe to the opposite of sprint. Add parent core to the event begin play and event tick. Add parent core or just delete the on land and on jump event. Open the anim BP motion matching source. Change the owner reference to our new character we just created. In our new character, add a new skeletal mesh under the capsule component, named the motion matching source. Set the character mesh 0 to the mannequin UE4 TPS Kit use, and the ABP blueprint to the retarget blend we just copied from the ABP mannequin player. And set the motion matching source mesh to the UEFM mesh GSP use, and the anim blueprint to the motion matching source ABP. Copy the mesh 0 transform to the source mesh and set the source not visible but always take a pose and refresh bones. Open the ABP retarget blend we create. Add an initialize animation event and add a call to parent event. We need to copy some retarget settings from GASP. In the GASP blueprint retarget character folder, open the app generic retarget. Copy the update retarget profile function and the 3 variables in ABP generic retarget into the ABP retarget blend we create. Copy the last 4 nodes in the ABP generic retarget to our retarget blend initialize events and set the IK retargeter to the UEFN to UE4 in the GSP. In the anim graph of ABP generic retarget, copy the retarget pose from mesh node. And we go to the anim graph of our ABP retarget blend. Find the empty place beside the locomotion state machine and paste the retarget node here. Set a reference variable to the source, the UEFM skeletal mesh in our character blueprint to use as a retarget resource. Change the retarget from setting in the retarget node to custom skeletal mesh component and use the retarget source we just create. Save the retarget pose. Disconnect the locomotion to locomotion save and create a new save. Get the locomotion and the retarget we just saved and use a layer blend per bone. Set the bone to upper arm right, upper arm left, and IK hand root. I copy another blend for melee weapon It only uses one bone, its lower arm right, and uses boolean using melee weapon to switch. If you don't use melee weapon, you can ignore this part. The IK handgun bone is broken after the blend. We need to recalculate it. First, copy the transform of hand R to it. Then we add the distance between IK handgun and IK hand R to the transform in bone space. I think the rotation may be no need to add here or not accurate in the result, but the result looks okay now. I get the value from an animation in the TPS Kit, and also recalculate the IK handgun bone after the retarget. I think this part looks like a stupid solution, but I'm weak at animation blueprint, so wait for someone to help improve this. When the locomotion part is done, we go left and find a place right before reloading weapon. This is a place we can add a whole body blend of retarget pose, but not affect any of the montage slots. True blend time 0.6 and false blend time 0.1. Active condition is the player is in air or sprinting or not equip any weapon. But once the player is in shooting pose, aiming or reloading, which means the player shoot in air or sprinting, then disable the full body blend and go back to two arms locomotion. The last thing in this ABP, go to right and find the weapon IK grip part. Find the front hand IK disabled alpha. Add two conditions to disable the front hand IK, in air or holding sprint. This brings out the advantage of GASP, a more realistic feeling movement. If holding the gun with two arms all the time, it conflicts with the GASP movement feeling and hides the advantage. Now is some small bugs to fix. Go to the ABP source. Open the function enable AO. This decides the character to look at the camera direction. We disable the strafe rotation when idle because it will cause conflicts and jitter. So we change the condition to character input state wants to strafe. And there is some situation in TPS Kit that the player stopped moving and the movement mode is still sprint and sprint is not want to strafe. So we add a condition check that the player is in idle. So in strafe or in idle, the character's head will turn to look at the camera direction. Open the function should turn in place. The GASP will only turn in place when holding aim input is less than the TPS Kit upper body rotate condition. This will cause conflicts between upper body and lower body when shooting pose conditions, like idle blind shoot. Whenever the TPS Kit uses an upper body montage that sticks to the camera direction, the character should always turn in place. I found these three conditions: aiming, shooting pose, and reloading. This is the final result. It has the GASP body move and the two-arm locomotion. Open the shooting air for test. Use the new gameplay camera for test and set the third-person camera auto-active to false. The gameplay camera have a wider view and a better look at the GASP effect. One small bug is the turn in place sometimes too slow. And here is a real big problem. When you launch game with the project, the target is broken. The other part of ABP functions well, but the target is broken. I guess the packaged result will be the same. I did some tests, and only when the mannequin is child of the UEFN character and the retarget will work. Seems the retargeter can't work from the skeletal mesh that is not the parent.